right? So we're taking a deep dive into positive classroom culture. Yeah. How to create like a learning environment where the students feel connected and motivated and they're ready to really like just flourish.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack some seriously insightful research and strategies, expert views, like the whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
And trust me, there are going to be some real aha moments coming your way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What's so fascinating about this topic is that, we're going beyond that surface level feel-good vibes.
Right.
We're talking about like a solid link between a positive classroom and actual student success.
Okay, so it's more than just happy kids sitting in neat rows.
Way more.
Yeah.
When students feel like genuinely connected to their school environment, research shows they're way more likely to succeed academically.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes even deeper than that.
Deeper how?
Think of it like this positive environment as a protective factor. Studies have linked it to like fewer instances of disruptive behavior, fewer mental health issues, and even less overall disengagement from school.
Wow.
It's powerful stuff.
So we're not just shooting for good grades. We're aiming for well-rounded, resilient students.
You got it. That's why this deep dive goes way beyond just test scores and homework.
All right, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. How do we actually build this incredible classroom culture? What are the magic ingredients?
Think of it as a recipe
Okay.
with 6 key ingredients or pillars.
Okay.
We need to set high expectations, but it's not just about like demanding performance.
Right.
It's about believing in each student's potential and giving them the support they need to reach those high bars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Kids need to know we believe in them, right?
absolutely. Then there's behavior management, but it's not about being a drill sergeant.
Right.
It's about being fair and consistent so students understand the rules and the reasons behind them.
Okay.
They need to buy in, not just comply.
Okay. Fair and consistent. Got it. What's next?
This is where the real magic happens.
Uh-oh.
Positive relationships.
Okay.
Building strong connections with your students is at the heart of everything.
I can see that you can't teach someone you don't connect with.
Exactly. There's even research on this, something called the magic ratio.
Okay.
It suggests that for every negative interaction, you need 5 positive ones to maintain a healthy balance.
5 to 1. Wow. I'm definitely going to be counting now.
Oh, it's a game changer for sure.
Right.
Now we can't forget about effective teaching practices.
Right.
The curriculum needs to be engaging and presented in a way that resonates with students, making it relevant to their lives.
Okay.
This is where a student-centered approach comes into play.
So it's not just about what we teach, it's how we teach it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If students are bored or feel disconnected from the material, it doesn't matter how brilliant the lesson plan is.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And what about the parents? Do they have a role to play in all of this?
Absolutely. That's our 5th pillar, parent partnerships. Working together with parents, sharing those high expectations, and presenting a unified front creates a powerful support system for students.
So teamwork makes the dream work.
You could say that. And finally, we can't forget about the relationships between the students themselves.
Okay, yeah.
We need to model respectful behavior, teach them essential social skills, and provide opportunities to practice positive interactions with each other.
Creating like a mini community of kindness and respect.
You got it.
Yeah.
Those 6 pillars really lay the foundation for a thriving classroom.
They do paint a pretty clear picture, but I'm itching to get into like the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What are some specific strategies we can use to bring these pillars to life?
One that really stands out is the power of routines and clear expectations.
Okay.
When students know what to expect and how things operate, it reduces their cognitive load, freeing up more mental space for actual learning.
That sounds like a win-win.
Yeah,
Less stress, more brain power.
exactly.
Good.
But here's the catch. We can't just assume students will pick up these routines through osmosis.
Right.
We have to explicitly teach them, just like any other subject.
So we're talking about things like how to enter the classroom, how to get help, how to transition between activities.
Exactly. It might seem like overkill, but trust me, teaching these seemingly small things makes a world of difference.
Okay, routines check. What else?
Well, have you ever considered how the physical layout of your classroom might be influencing behavior and learning?
Wait, you're saying the way the desks are arranged, the posters on the walls, that stuff matters.
Absolutely. A well-designed classroom can actually reduce distractions and encourage collaboration.
Wow.
It's about creating an inviting space that fosters a sense of belonging and makes students feel comfortable and ready to learn.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. You're making me want to rearrange my entire classroom.
That's the beauty of these deep dives. They make you see things with fresh eyes. It's not about a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about constantly reflecting and refining your strategies to find what works best for you and your students.
Okay, I like that. But something else that caught my eye in the research was the emphasis on collaboration and giving students choices in their learning.
Ah, yes. That's where the student-centered approach really shines.
Okay.
Giving students a voice and allowing them to make decisions within a structured framework, of course, can boost their engagement and self-confidence.
So it's about striking a balance between guidance and autonomy.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about empowering students to be active participants in their learning rather than passive recipients of information.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it probably makes the learning stick better, too.
It does. Now, remember how we talked about how a positive classroom goes beyond just academics?
Yeah, meeting those deeper needs, right?
Exactly. This is a perspective that often gets overlooked, but it's crucial. Students have psychological needs that go beyond just memorizing facts and figures.
Right.
They need to feel safe and secure. They need to feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
They need to feel competent and capable, and they need to experience novelty and excitement.
Wow. I never thought about it in those terms before, but it makes perfect sense.
Right. And when we as teachers understand and address these needs, we create an environment where true learning and growth can flourish.
It's also fascinating. I feel like I'm getting a crash course in educational psychology.
And that's the power of these deep dives.
Right.
They bring together research insights and practical strategies to help you see the bigger picture. Now, I know you were curious about the whole debate surrounding rewards and motivation.
Oh, yes. That's a topic I've been wrestling with because on one hand, it feels natural to want to reward positive behavior.
Sure.
But on the other hand, I've heard that relying too heavily on rewards can actually be counterproductive.
You're spot on. It's a tricky balance. While it's tempting to use rewards as a primary tool for motivation, the research cautions against it.
Why is that?
Because when we rely too heavily on external rewards, it can actually undermine students' intrinsic motivation, their natural desire to learn and grow for the sake of learning itself.
So instead of being excited about the learning, they're just focused on getting the prize.
Exactly. They become more concerned with the what's in it for me aspect,
Right.
rather than the inherent joy of discovery and accomplishment.
Okay, I see the problem.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid that trap? How do we nurture that intrinsic motivation?
By creating learning experiences that are genuinely engaging, challenging, and meaningful to students. It's about sparking their curiosity, giving them choices, and helping them connect with the joy of learning.
So it's about tapping into their own internal reward system rather than relying on external ones.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that leads us to a really interesting concept,
Okay.
the power of vulnerability.
Vulnerability. In the classroom. I'm intrigued.
Think about what it means to be vulnerable. It's about being authentic, admitting your mistakes, and showing your human side. And when you, as the teacher, model that vulnerability, it creates a powerful ripple effect.
So it's not about being the all-knowing authority figure. It's about being a fellow learner.
Exactly. It's about creating a safe space where it's okay to not have all the answers, where making mistakes is seen as part of the learning process.
I can see how that would build trust and create a more relaxed and supportive learning environment.
It does. Students see that it's okay to take risks, to try new things, to not be perfect.
It's about fostering that growth mindset, right?
Absolutely. And that shift in mindset can be incredibly transformative both for you and your students.
This is giving me so much to think about.
Yeah,
I love how these different strategies all tie together.
they do. And there's one more strategy I want to highlight.
Okay.
The idea of approaching challenging situations with curiosity rather than judgment.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Instead of immediately jumping to conclusions about why a student is behaving a certain way,
Right.
we pause and try to understand the underlying reasons. We ask questions, we observe, we listen.
So it's about empathy and seeking to understand rather than punish?
Exactly. It's about seeing the student as a whole person with their own unique experiences and challenges. And when we approach behavior from this perspective, it opens up a dialogue builds trust, and creates a more supportive and positive classroom culture.
This is all so insightful. It's like you're giving me a whole new lens through which to view my classroom and my interactions with students.
And that's what's so exciting about this topic. There's always more to learn and explore.
Well, I'm definitely ready to keep exploring. What else do we have in store for this deep dive?
Let's delve into some of the specific ways you can apply these strategies in your classroom. We'll look at practical tips for establishing routines, creating a welcoming physical environment, fostering collaboration, and nurturing those all-important relationships with students and parents.
Sounds like a plan. I'm ready to dive in.
So let's get practical. We've talked about these big ideas,
Right.
but what does it actually look like, to implement them
Right?
in a classroom full of, well, kids being kids?
That's the million-dollar question, right? I can read all the theory in the world,
Yeah,
but I need that, translation into action.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with routines. Remember, they're not just about keeping things orderly. They're about reducing that cognitive load for students and creating a predictable environment where they feel safe and secure.
Okay, so less about control and more about creating that mental space for them to actually learn.
Exactly. And this can be as simple as having a clear routine for how students enter the classroom each morning.
Okay.
Maybe they grab their materials, check the board for the day's agenda, and then quietly begin a warm-up activity.
I like that it sets the tone for a focused and productive day.
Right. And don't forget about routines for transitions between activities.
Okay.
Instead of having those chaotic moments where everyone's scrambling, getting distracted, have clear signals and procedures in place.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm already picturing a much calmer classroom.
I bet. And remember, you need to explicitly teach these routines just like you would any other academic skill. Model them, practice them, and provide positive reinforcement when students follow them correctly.
Got it. Repetition and consistency are key. Now, you mentioned the physical environment of the classroom. I'm really curious to hear more about that.
This is where it gets fun. Think about your classroom as a canvas.
Good.
How can you arrange the furniture, the decorations, the learning centers to create an inviting and stimulating space?
So it's not just about making it look pretty, it's about functionality too.
Exactly. For example, flexible seating arrangements can be a game changer.
Okay.
Instead of having everyone stuck in rows, provide options like comfy chairs, standing desks, or even floor cushions.
That's brilliant. It gives students a sense of ownership over their space and allows them to choose what works best for them.
Right. And think about how you can create designated areas for different types of activities. Maybe you have a quiet reading nook, a collaborative work zone, and a space for hands-on learning.
Ooh, you're making me want to go on a Pinterest spree and redesign my whole classroom.
It's amazing what a few simple changes can do. And don't underestimate the power of natural light plants and artwork to create a calming and inspiring atmosphere.
Yeah, it's all about creating that sense of warmth and belonging, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to collaboration and student choice. Remember, it's not about letting kids run wild and do whatever they want.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot between providing structure and offering opportunities for autonomy.
So guided freedom.
That's a great way to put it. Think about ways you can incorporate student choice into your lesson planning.
Okay.
Maybe you offer different options for completing an assignment, or you let students choose their own research topics.
I love that it makes learning more relevant to their interests and passions.
And don't forget about collaborative learning activities.
Right.
Working together in groups allows students to develop their social skills, learn from each other, and build those all-important relationships.
Okay, we've covered routines, physical environment, and collaboration. What about those deeper psychological needs we were talking about earlier? How do we address those in a tangible way?
That's where things get really interesting. Remember, students need to feel safe, connected, competent, and stimulated.
Right.
And we can meet these needs through both our words and actions.
So it's not just about what we teach, but how we interact with our students.
Exactly. Start by creating a classroom culture where everyone feels respected and valued. Make it clear that mistakes are okay. And that learning is a journey, not a destination.
So fostering that growth mindset we were talking about.
Yes. And remember the importance of positive reinforcement. Catch your students being good and acknowledge their efforts, not just their accomplishments.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to feel appreciated and seen for who they are.
absolutely. And remember, we're talking about genuine connections here. Get to know your students.
Yeah.
Ask about their interests and show that you care about them as individuals.
It's those little things that make a big difference, isn't it?
It really is. Now, speaking of relationships, let's not forget about the crucial role of parents.
Parent partnerships, right.
Yeah.
But I'll admit, sometimes those relationships can be tricky to navigate.
I understand. But building strong partnerships with parents is essential.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. Start by simply communicating regularly.
Okay.
Keep parents informed about what's happening in the classroom, share students' successes, and reach out for support when needed.
So open and honest communication is key.
Absolutely. And remember, you're both on the same team, working towards the same goal, the student's success.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget that we're all in this together.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to address.
Okay.
How to handle challenging behaviors.
Ah, yes. The inevitable reality of working with kids. No matter how positive the classroom environment, there are going to be times when students act out or make poor choices.
That's true. But remember our discussion about approaching those situations with curiosity rather than judgment.
Right, seeking to understand rather than punish.
Exactly. Instead of immediately reacting with anger or frustration, take a moment to pause and reflect.
Okay.
What might be driving this behavior? Is the student feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or disconnected?
So it's about seeing the behavior as a symptom of something deeper going on.
Yes. And when we can understand the root cause, we can respond in a way that is both effective and compassionate.
That makes so much sense. It's about addressing the need, not just the behavior itself.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about letting students get away with bad behavior.
Right.
It's about helping them develop the skills and self-awareness they need to make better choices in the future.
This is so helpful. It's giving me a whole new framework for thinking about classroom management. Instead of just focusing on consequences, I'm now thinking about prevention.
Right.
And teaching those essential social emotional skills.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
And it's at the heart of creating a truly positive and supportive classroom culture. Now, I know you were intrigued by the idea of incorporating play into the classroom.
Yes, I'm all ears. Tell me more about how play can be a tool for learning and connection.
Well, think about it. When children play, they're naturally engaged, curious, and creative. They're problem-solving, experimenting, and learning through experience.
So how can we tap into that natural inclination and bring it into the classroom? I'm picturing kindergarten, not high school.
I hear you. But play isn't just for little kids.
Right.
It can be incorporated into learning at all levels.
Okay.
Think about games, simulations, role-playing activities. These are all forms of play that can make learning more engaging and memorable.
Okay, I'm starting to see the possibilities.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about letting go of control and letting students play in my classroom. What if it turns into chaos?
That's a valid concern. But remember, we're not talking about like unstructured free-for-all. It's about creating a safe and supportive environment where play is purposeful and aligned with learning goals.
So it's about setting clear expectations and boundaries, just like with any other activity.
Exactly. And don't forget, play can be a powerful tool for building relationships and fostering a sense of community in the classroom.
I can see that. When students are playing together, they're laughing, they're collaborating, they're learning to communicate and problem solve.
Right. And those are all essential skills for success in school and in life.
This is giving me so much to think about. I'm already brainstorming ways to incorporate more play into my lessons.
That's great to hear. And remember, it's not about being perfect or having all the answers.
Right.
It's about being willing to experiment, to try new things, and to have fun along the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off and reminds me that teaching is a creative and joyful process. Now, is there anything else we need to cover in this deep dive?
There is one more crucial element that I want to make sure we highlight, and that is the power of vulnerability. We talked about this earlier when we were talking about, modeling a growth mindset.
Right.
But it's worth revisiting.
Okay, I'm ready. Remind me, why is vulnerability so important in the context of building a positive classroom culture?
Well, when you as a teacher are willing to be vulnerable, to admit mistakes, to share struggles, to show your human side, it creates like a profound shift in the classroom dynamic.
How so?
Students see that it's okay to not be perfect,
Right.
to not have all the answers. They see that making mistakes is part of the learning process and that it's okay to ask for help.
It breaks down that barrier between the all-knowing teacher and the student who's supposed to be perfect.
Exactly. And it fosters a culture of trust and respect where everyone feels safe to take risks and learn from their mistakes.
It's about creating that sense of shared humanity, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's where the real magic happens.
Okay.
When students feel seen and understood, not just as students, but as like whole people,
Right.
they're more likely to engage, to learn, and to thrive.
This is so powerful. I'm starting to see how all these different elements, the routines, physical environment, collaboration, meeting those deeper needs, play, vulnerability, how they all work together
Right.
to create this intricate tapestry of a positive classroom culture.
They do. And it's a constantly evolving tapestry.
Right.
It's not about reaching like a destination. It's about embarking on a journey
Yeah.
of continuous growth and learning alongside your students.
I love that analogy. It's so much more inspiring than just checking off a list of to-dos.
And that brings us to like our final thought
Let's-
for you to ponder
Okay.
as we kind of wrap up this deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hit me with it. We've talked a lot about strategies, techniques, research findings.
Right.
At the end of the day, the most important ingredient in creating a positive classroom culture is you.
Me.
Yes, you. Your passion, your enthusiasm, your belief in your students, that's what will ultimately make the difference.
That's both empowering and a little daunting.
I understand, but remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
There are countless resources available to support you, from books and articles to professional development workshops and online communities.
Yeah, and I can always come back to this deep dive for inspiration and guidance.
Exactly. And remember, every day is a fresh start, a chance to try something new, to learn from your mistakes,
Right.
and to create a learning environment where both you and your students can thrive.
This has been such an eye-opening and inspiring conversation. I feel like I've gained so much valuable knowledge and practical guidance.
It's been a joy to explore these ideas with you. And remember, building a positive classroom culture is an ongoing journey. There will be challenges along the way, but with intention, creativity, and a genuine belief in your students, you can create a learning environment where everyone can flourish.
I'm feeling so inspired and ready to put all this into practice.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of educators out there who are passionate about creating positive and engaging learning experiences for their students. Connect with them, share your ideas, and support each other along the way.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights with me today. This has truly been a game changer.
It's been my pleasure. Now go out there and make some magic happen in your classroom.
I will. And to all of you listening, we hope you feel empowered and equipped to create that positive classroom culture where all students can thrive.
Happy teaching, everyone.